The Council's decree. The Galactic Assembly's emergency session buzzed with an undercurrent of fear. Dr. Samira Hassan watched from humanity's observation pod as representatives from 100 worlds debated their species' fate. The massive chamber, carved from living crystal, amplified every chittering whisper and telepathic pulse of alarm. "These humans," announced Supreme Arbiter Vexthor, their crystalline form pulsing with waves of deep purple concern, have achieved faster-than-light travel while still engaging in territorial conflicts. They split atoms for weapons before using them for power. They actively seek out dangerous experiences for entertainment. Ambassador Raj Patel, standing beside Samira, maintained perfect composure despite the hostility radiating from the assembled aliens. His dark eyes tracked every subtle movement, every gesture of the council members. 20 years of diplomatic service had taught him to read alien body language better than most humans could read their own species. "The evidence is clear," continued Vexthor, geometric patterns flickering across their crystalline surface. "Humanity represents an unprecedented threat to galactic stability. We cannot risk their unchecked expansion into the cosmos." Samira felt her hands clench into fists. She had spent her entire career studying xenobiology, trying to bridge the gap between human and alien understanding. Now it seemed that very gap might condemn her entire species. "If I may address the assembly," Raj stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of Earth's diplomatic corps. But before he could continue, first speaker Zyra of the Meridian Collective raised all four of their appendages in objection. "We have seen the data," Zyra's translator conveyed their musical tones into harsh basic. "Your species actively seeks out harmful substances for consumption. You deliberately expose yourselves to dangerous radiation for cosmetic tanning. You participate in activities with high mortality rates for thrill-seeking." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Samira noticed several of the gaseous nebulons actually condensing in distress at the mention of human recreational activities. "The Council has reached a decision," Vexthor announced, their crystalline form now pulsing with finality. "Humanity will be relocated to Helios, a Class 15 Deathworld in the Outer Rim. There, their destructive tendencies can be contained." Samira's scientific mind immediately began processing what she knew about Class 15 worlds. Extreme gravitational forces, toxic atmosphere, predatory ecosystem. Her blood ran cold as she realized what they were proposing was essentially a death sentence. Raj, however, smiled. It was a subtle expression, one that Samira had learned meant he saw something others had missed. "The Council is most generous," he said, bowing slightly. "We accept your offer of a new homeworld." The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. This was not the reaction they had expected from a species being sentenced to exile. "You understand," Vexthor's voice carried a note of uncertainty, "Helios has gravity 1.5 times Earth standard. Its atmosphere contains corrosive elements. The local fauna includes apex predators larger than your largest vessels." "Indeed," Raj nodded, still smiling. "It sounds like an excellent opportunity for human advancement. When can we begin the relocation?" Samira watched the council members shift uncomfortably. She began to understand Raj's strategy. The council had expected resistance, protests, perhaps even threats. Instead, humanity's representative was treating their punishment like a gift. As they left the chamber, Samira finally asked, "Why did you accept so readily?" Raj's smile took on a predatory edge. "Because, Doctor, they just made the same mistake everyone makes about humans. They think making things harder will break us." He paused, looking out at the stars through the station's crystal viewport. "They don't understand that humans don't break under pressure. We adapt. We evolve. We thrive. They're sending us to a death world," Samira reminded him. "No," Raj corrected, "they're sending us to a new laboratory. Everything that makes Helios deadly is just another puzzle to solve, another challenge to overcome." He turned to face her, his eyes bright with anticipation. The Council thinks they're containing us. Instead, they're about to give humanity exactly what it needs to become unstoppable. The first colonization ships were already being prepared. Earth's governments, instead of protesting the exile, had thrown themselves into the challenge with characteristic human determination. Samira watched as engineers and scientists worked around the clock, adapting their technology for Helios's hostile environment. They expect us to just survive, Raj mused, watching the preparations. They don't realize that humans have never been content with mere survival. We're going to turn their prison into our launching pad. Human history was about to enter a new chapter, and as Samira looked at the determination in the eyes of the colonists preparing for their journey, she knew it would be one that would make the galaxy remember why you should never underestimate humanity's ability to turn adversity into advantage. Seeds of Survival. Commander Diana Wells stood at the viewport of the colony ship Resilient, watching as Helios grew from a distant dot to a looming nightmare. The planet's surface was a maze of crystalline formations that jutted like jagged teeth against a blood-red sky. Storms of metallic particles created aurora-like patterns in the upper atmosphere, beautiful and lethal in equal measure. Final approach calculations complete, announced engineer Marcus Singh from his station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. Though I should mention that final might be optimistic given the atmospheric conditions. Diana allowed herself a grim smile. The past 3 months of space travel had given her crew time to study everything known about their new home. The Council's data packets, intended to discourage them, had instead become their survival manual. Status report from all sections, she commanded, watching as the first waves of atmospheric turbulence began buffeting the ship. Engineering reports all shield modifications holding, Marcus responded, his dark eyes fixed on the readouts. The crystalline reinforcement layers are actually performing better than simulations predicted. Medical bay ready for casualties, Dr. James Zhou's voice crackled over the comm, though I sincerely hope my preparations are unnecessary. The descent through Helios's atmosphere was like piloting through a hurricane made of razor blades. The ship's modified shields glowed bright enough to rival small suns as they deflected the worst of the metallic storm. Even with their preparations, the vessel groaned under stresses it was never designed to endure. Contact in 3, 2, 1. Marcus counted down as they broke through the final layer of clouds. The landing struts touched down on crystalline soil with a sound like breaking glass. For a moment, everyone held their breath. Then Marcus's console lit up with green indicators. Primary landing successful. Hull integrity at 92%. Shield systems operational. We're actually alive. Save the celebration, Diana ordered, though she couldn't keep the pride from her voice. This was the easy part. Begin environmental survey and perimeter establishment. I want our first shelter up before the next atmospheric storm. The next 48 hours were a brutal test of human ingenuity and determination. Teams worked in shifts, wearing heavily modified environmental suits to survive Helios's hostile conditions. The crystalline ground beneath their feet wasn't just sharp, it was reactive, responding to pressure and temperature changes in unpredictable ways. Fascinating, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their chief xenogeologist, muttered as she examined core samples. The crystals aren't just growing, they're evolving. The entire planet is like one massive crystalline organism. Their first major crisis came during the construction of the primary shelter. A massive creature, something like a cross between a rhinoceros and a moving crystal formation, emerged from a nearby crystal forest. Its hide seemed to absorb light, and what they first took for horns were actually focused points of gravitational distortion. Well, Marcus commented dryly over the comm, I guess we now know what the Council meant by apex predators. Diana watched as the security team's weapons proved useless against the creature's crystalline hide. But before she could order a retreat, she noticed something odd about its movement patterns. It's not attacking randomly, she realized. It's responding to our shield frequencies. Marcus, can you modulate the perimeter barriers? The engineer's fingers flew across his console, adjusting the electromagnetic fields they'd established around the landing site. The creature paused, tilting its massive head as if confused, then gradually backed away into the crystal forest. Add that to the survival guide, Diana ordered. These things aren't just animals, they're part of the planet's crystalline ecosystem. We need to learn to speak their language. By the end of the first week, they had established a foothold. The primary shelter, dubbed Haven Prime, was a hybrid of Earth technology and locally harvested crystals. They discovered that properly processed local materials could actually enhance their power systems, turning the very forces trying to kill them into a source of energy. It's like the whole planet is one giant battery, Marcus explained during a briefing, his eyes bright with excitement. These crystal formations don't just conduct energy, they amplify it. If we can figure out how to harness this properly. Diana understood the implications. The Council had meant to imprison them on this deadly world, but they'd actually given humanity access to technology beyond anything in known space. Every challenge they overcame, every adaptation they made, pushed their capabilities further. We're not just surviving here, she told her team during their second-week briefing. We're going to thrive. Every deadly aspect of this planet is going to become our advantage. The Council thought they were containing us? They just gave us the keys to the next stage of human evolution. As if to punctuate her words, another crystalline storm rolled across the horizon, its deadly beauty now powering the very shields protecting them from it. In the distance, more colony ships were breaking through the atmosphere, bringing more humans ready to turn this prison into a paradise. The message they sent back to Earth was brief but powerful, landing successful. Helios isn't trying to kill us, it's teaching us how to become stronger. Send more scientists. The real work is just beginning. In the crystalline forests surrounding Haven Prime, the local creatures watched these strange new inhabitants with growing curiosity. The humans didn't flee from the planet's dangers, they studied them, adapted to them, mastered them. The Council's perfect prison was about to become humanity's greatest laboratory. Breaking the chains. Dr. Aisha Freeman paused her recording as another gravity wave rippled through Haven Prime's laboratory. 3 months on Helios had taught them that the planet's crystalline core periodically emitted pulses of gravitational energy that would have torn apart any conventional structure. But humanity had long since moved beyond conventional. Resume recording, she commanded. Test Series 247B. The integration of native crystals with our quantum computing arrays has yielded unexpected results. The crystals aren't just conducting energy, they're processing information. Security Chief Viktor Romanov watched from the doorway, his weathered face reflecting the purple glow of the experimental crystal matrix. You mean they're alive? More than that, Aisha adjusted her instruments, dark eyes bright with excitement. They're communicating. Every gravity wave, every electromagnetic pulse, it's all part of a planetary-scale network. Helios isn't just a death world, it's a supercomputer. Their breakthrough came during what the colonists had dubbed the Long Storm, a week-long bombardment of crystalline precipitation that should have destroyed their settlement. Instead, Aisha's team discovered they could use their quantum-enhanced shields to actually interface with the storm's energy patterns. Look at this. She gestured to a holographic display showing complex wave patterns. The storms aren't random. They're carrying data, massive amounts of it. The entire planet is constantly processing and sharing information through these crystalline networks. Victor stepped closer, his military training giving way to genuine wonder. Can we tap into it? We already are, Aisha smiled. Every shield modification, every power system we've built, we've been accidentally connecting to Helios's network. Now we're just doing it intentionally. The implications were staggering. Within days, they had begun adapting their technology to work with rather than against the planet's natural systems. The very forces that had once threatened to destroy them were becoming the foundation of their advancement. The security applications alone are revolutionary, Victor noted, watching as his teams installed new crystal-enhanced sensor arrays. We're not just detecting threats anymore, we're predicting them before they materialize. The hostile fauna that had once terrorized the colony now found themselves facing defenses that anticipated their every move. The crystalline predators, rather than being eliminated, were studied and understood. Some were even cautiously approaching the settlement, drawn by the familiar resonance of human-modified crystals. They recognize us now, Aisha explained during a council meeting. We're not just survivors anymore, we're becoming part of Helios's ecosystem. But it was their discovery of crystal consciousness that truly changed everything. The massive formations weren't just conducting energy and information, they were learning, adapting, evolving. And now, they were beginning to respond to human presence in increasingly sophisticated ways. Watch this, Aisha demonstrated to a gathered crowd. She sent a specific frequency through their modified communication array. The nearby crystal forest shifted, creating a protected pathway. They're not just responding to commands, they're anticipating our needs. Victor's security teams began working with rather than against the local predators. The massive crystal-backed creatures they'd once feared were now being carefully studied, their natural abilities incorporated into colony defense strategies. It's like having a living fortress, he explained to newly arrived colonists. The planet's own defense mechanisms are becoming our first line of security. The Council's prison was transforming into something unprecedented, a symbiotic relationship between human ingenuity and Helios's unique properties. Every deadly feature they mastered added another layer to their growing technological superiority. Send a message to Earth, Aisha instructed her team after another successful integration test. Tell them we need every quantum physicist, every crystalline specialist, every innovative mind they can spare. Helios isn't just our new home, it's our gateway to technologies the Council never imagined possible. As if in response, the crystal matrices throughout Haven Prime pulsed with new patterns, their light casting long shadows across faces filled with determination and hope. The chains meant to bind them were becoming the tools of their liberation. You know what's truly ironic? Victor mused, watching a group of researchers safely navigate what had once been lethal crystal formations. The Council sent us here thinking distance and danger would contain us. Instead, they gave us exactly what humans do best with, an impossible problem to solve. Outside Haven Prime's boundaries, new settlements were already taking shape, each one more advanced than the last. The crystal storms that had once threatened their survival now powered a growing network of quantum-enhanced facilities. Humanity wasn't just surviving on Helios, they were rewriting the rules of what was possible. We should send the Council a thank you note, Aisha laughed, watching another successful crystal integration test. Dear Galactic Council, thanks for the supercomputer disguised as a Deathworld. We've made some improvements. Wish you were here. Masters of Chaos. Dr. Nikolai Volkov stood before the newly constructed Quantum Control Center of Haven Prime, watching as crystalline displays showed real-time data from across Helios. What had started as a desperate struggle for survival had evolved into something far beyond the Council's worst nightmares. Transfer sequence complete, Operations Director Zara Chen announced, her hands dancing across interfaces that merged human technology with living crystal. The planetary network is now operating at 200% of projected capacity. We're literally rewriting the laws of physics on a local scale. The transformation of Helios over the past year had been nothing short of miraculous. The deadly crystal storms that once threatened their existence now flowed through carefully constructed channels, powering a civilization that was rapidly outpacing anything in known space. Show me the latest data from the Genesis project, Nikolai requested, his eyes reflecting the shimmer of quantum calculations. A holographic display materialized, showing vast stretches of Helios's surface being systematically reshaped. The crystalline forests that once harbored deadly predators now grew in planned patterns, creating living architecture that adapted to their needs. The environmental manipulation systems are exceeding all expectations, Zara reported. We're not just surviving in Helios's ecosystem, we're conducting it like a symphony. Their breakthrough in quantum crystalline technology had changed everything. The planet's natural computational network, once seen as a hostile alien system, had become an extension of human innovation. Every crystal formation, every energy storm, every gravitational pulse was now part of their expanding infrastructure. Initialize the demonstration sequence, Nikolai ordered, preparing for the day's most ambitious test. The air hummed with potential as their quantum systems engaged. Above Haven Prime, the perpetual storms of Helios began to move with purpose, forming patterns that defied natural law. Energy that could have powered a small star was channeled, controlled, and transformed. Reality manipulation field stable, Zara confirmed, monitoring the readings. Local spacetime conforming to programmed parameters. What they were doing wasn't just revolutionary, it was supposed to be impossible. They had learned to use Helios's crystalline network to alter the fundamental properties of matter and energy within defined spaces. Gravity, time, even the basic forces holding atoms together could be adjusted like variables in an equation. The Council thought this planet would be our prison, Nikolai mused, watching as another successful test reshaped a section of Helios's landscape. Instead, they gave us the keys to unlock the universe itself. Their achievements had not gone unnoticed. The first trading vessels, drawn by rumors of impossible technology, had arrived 3 months ago. The Council's attempt at isolation had failed spectacularly. Another request for diplomatic relations, Zara noted, checking incoming transmissions. This time from the Arcturian Confederation. They're offering significant resources in exchange for our quantum crystalline processors. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The very powers that had exiled them were now desperately seeking access to the technologies they had developed as a result of that exile. Begin preparation for Phase 3, Nikolai instructed his team. It's time to show the galaxy exactly what humanity has become. The Quantum Control Center hummed with activity as they initiated their most ambitious project yet. The entire planet was about to become not just their home, but a demonstration of power that would reshape galactic politics forever. Crystal network synchronization at 100%, Zara reported, her voice tight with controlled excitement. Quantum field generators online. Reality manipulation grid stable. Around Haven Prime, the crystalline structures that formed their city began to pulse with new purpose. The storms above, once deadly, now danced to human command. Even the massive predators that had once threatened them now served as living guardians, their crystalline bodies enhanced with quantum technologies. Send word to all settlements, Nikolai commanded. The transformation begins now. Across Helios's surface, human innovation merged with planetary power. They weren't just building cities anymore, they were creating something entirely new, a civilization that could reshape reality itself to suit its needs. You know what the Council never understood about humans? Zara asked, watching as their work literally changed the face of their world. We don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to thrive. As if in response, the quantum crystals throughout Haven Prime pulsed with new energy, their light casting shadows that seemed to dance between dimensions. The Council's perfect prison had become humanity's greatest triumph. Send a message to Earth, Nikolai smiled, watching as another section of Helios transformed under their control. Tell them it's time. The galaxy is about to learn why you should never try to cage humanity. Paradigm shift. Ambassador Hannah Torres stood in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, a very different figure from the desperate representatives who had stood there 5 years ago. Behind her, through the chamber's crystal viewport, Helios gleamed, no longer a prison planet, but the heart of humanity's newfound power. Distinguished members of the Council, she began, her voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone holding all the cards. "You sent us to Helios to contain us. Today, I'm here to show you why that was your greatest miscalculation." Science Director Julian Barrett activated the quantum projector they'd brought. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing Helios's transformation. Cities of living crystal stretched across its surface, storms of pure energy danced through controlled channels, and massive quantum computers processed data in ways that defied conventional physics. "By trying to isolate us," Hannah continued, watching the council members' reactions, "you gave us exactly what we needed to exceed every limitation you feared we would break." Supreme Arbiter Vexthor's crystalline form vibrated with barely contained anxiety. "These advances, they're impossible. No civilization has ever managed to harness quantum crystalline technology at this scale." "Impossible?" Julian stepped forward, his dark eyes gleaming. "Humanity's entire history is a series of impossible achievements. You gave us a death world, and we turned it into the most advanced civilization in known space." The displays shifted to show their latest achievements. Reality manipulation fields that could alter the fundamental forces of nature. Quantum processing systems that made conventional computers look like stone tablets. Energy generation that could power entire star systems. "We're not here to negotiate," Hannah stated clearly. "We're here to establish new terms for our relationship with the galactic community." The council chamber erupted in protest, but fell silent as the holographic displays showed a demonstration of their power. A controlled quantum field rippled through the chamber, temporarily altering the local laws of physics just enough to make their point. "Humanity has surpassed every limitation you tried to impose," Julian explained, almost gently. "But unlike you, we don't believe in isolation. We're offering to share our advances, under the right conditions." The terms they presented were simple but revolutionary. Humanity would become a full member of the galactic community, but on their own terms. Helios, once their prison, would become the center of a new era of technological advancement. "Your choice is simple," Hannah concluded. "Join us in creating a future that transcends the boundaries of what you thought possible, or watch as we reshape the galaxy without you." The council's deliberation was surprisingly brief. Faced with the reality of human achievement, they had no choice but to adapt. The species they had tried to cage had become the key to unlocking the galaxy's future. "There's a certain poetry to it," Julian mused as they left the chamber, their victory complete. "They feared we would change the galaxy too quickly, so they gave us exactly what we needed to change it even faster." Back on Helios, the quantum networks pulsed with new purpose. The planet that was meant to be their tomb had become the birthplace of a new age. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had transcended. "Send a message to all human settlements," Hannah instructed as they returned home. "Tell them the chains are broken. The galaxy is open to us now, not as exiles, but as pioneers." The crystal storms of Helios danced in celebration, their deadly beauty now a testament to human ingenuity. They had taken a prison and turned it into a paradise, transformed a death sentence into an opportunity for rebirth. "You know what the council still doesn't understand about humans?" Julian asked, watching their world shine like a beacon in the darkness of space. "We don't just break barriers, we transcend them. Every wall becomes a door, every prison becomes a launching pad." As if in response, the quantum crystals of Helios pulsed with new energy, their light reaching out to the stars like fingers of hope. The galaxy would never be the same, but then again, that had been true from the moment humanity decided to turn their exile into an ascension. "Let them watch," Hannah smiled, looking out over their transformed world. "Let them see what happens when you try to cage a species that turns every challenge into an opportunity, every setback into a step forward." The age of human isolation was over. The age of human innovation had begun. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, other civilizations were about to learn why you should never underestimate humanity's ability to turn adversity into advantage. The quantum storms of Helios raged on, no longer a threat but a promise that the future belonged to those who dared to reshape it.